It is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank, WCCS AM 1160, FM 101.1, 745 in the morning. And it's time for another installment of Martial Law. This program intended to be for informational purposes only. The information does not constitute legal advice. The law constantly changes. The information may not be complete or correct depending on the date and your particular legal problem. Each legal problem depends on its individual facts, and different jurisdictions have different laws and regulations. Because of these differences, you should not act or rely on any information in this segment without seeking the advice of a competent attorney licensed to practice law in your jurisdiction for your particular problem. Marshall Chriswell is one of those fellows. He's right across the microphone from me this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us here this morning.
Nice to be here.
It is a brave new world, and it's a brave new, very social world in which we live. People are getting more antisocial, while at the same time their social footprint online is increasing. It's amazing how that is just exploding. And there are legal ramifications to what you're doing on social media in a number of different ways, aren't there?
Yeah, that's true. And, as an attorney, and I don't use social media a whole lot myself, but you really have to. I really had to familiarize myself with the way that all of these different social media platforms work. Facebook and Twitter and all the others, because it's very important to be able to counsel your clients on the impact that their activities online can have on their legal case.
Yeah. Throw a couple of scenarios out at you. Last night, a couple from the Penguins game actually. Last night, we're sitting at the Penguins game. And in front of us, some Rangers fans. They're getting heckled a little bit by the fans in the row up ahead of them all throughout the game. The Penguins score a goal. Everybody stands up and cheers. The Rangers fans behind start throwing popcorn at the guys that were heckling them. And someone else is Snapchatting it and sending it evidently back to everybody in New York that's watching on their Snapchat feed. That's a harmless little thing going on. But should the guy turn around and take a swing at somebody who throws a beer at them or does something that they consider to be harmful to them, and it turned into a brawl, there are legal ramifications to what you just posted on Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook or anywhere else.
No, that immediately becomes a key piece of evidence in the case.
Yeah,
obviously, and. So, you're out in a public place and things can be recorded audio or visually without your knowledge, and then they're online and they go viral, and that, like I said, that can become a key piece of evidence in any case. And sometimes those things, obviously you need to behave yourself and not get in those situations, but those are things that are being done surreptitiously without your knowledge. But there are ways to control what you do, what you put online, what you put out there, and those are things that I see people all the time are really hurting themselves from a legal perspective by just being involved as a party in a legal case, whether it's a domestic case, a family law, a personal injury case, really anything, and just posting. Opening up the door and letting people into your life when they otherwise wouldn't be able to be there. They're really, we're putting private investigators out of business. We don't need them anymore.
Everybody is a private investigator now. There's a camera everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. And usually when something is taped, it's online. Now, earlier this year, there was an incident in downtown Indiana, and a very notorious, if you will, video went out of it. It only showed a portion of what was actually happening, and there was an altercation of some sort, and everybody was standing around, and you could hear the crowd screaming and everything, but you only saw a small portion, whatever it was that appeared on the film. You didn't see everything else that happened around it. That certainly has a legal ramification as well in terms of admissibility, in terms of a judge accepting as evidence something, one would think. Is that true?
Well, I don't know of anything that would make that particular video in a situation like that would make it irrelevant. It's highly relevant. It's a video of the incident, but you're right. You do have to put it into context, and that's where I think judges in a lot of cases have a hard time, or not a hard time, a hard job to separate and say, okay, well, these, and incidentally, we're also talking about text messages and instant messenger apps and things like that. This one little snippet of a conversation or, a 30-second video, like you said, it's relevant. It's right on point. But what happened, the day before and the day after, or what happened in the 5 minutes before that video was taken? And just because we don't have a video or a text message or something, showing that doesn't mean you shouldn't put that into some kind of context with respect to what all the other evidence is.
So as an attorney, what are some of the pointers that you would like to point out that folks using social media should be aware of at all times? If I'm posting something on social media, I'd better know this ahead of time.
Okay, I'll limit it to, if you're involved in a legal case, if you are the plaintiff or the defendant in any kind of case, number one thing that I tell my clients is, if you can help it at all, don't post on social media. Okay, I've never seen anybody make a post on social media that helped their case. Okay. So if this is something that's really important to you and you've hired an attorney and it's an important thing going on in your life right now, this legal dispute, why take the risk of hurting yourself by posting online? But if you're going to, and a lot of folks can't help themselves, and that's fine. If you're going to, there are some rules. Okay. You never want to post anything regarding a conversation you had with your attorney. My attorney says I have a good chance to win this case, or my attorney said this about the other party, or whatever it is, or I met with my attorney today and we talked about the case. You never want to put those things, because that can destroy the attorney-client privilege. We have confidentiality with our clients, but if the client starts disclosing the content of those conversations to third parties, we lose that, and a judge can actually say, well, all this stuff is all of your conversations are now admissible in court because you're not taking that confidentiality seriously. So that's very important. If you're involved in a domestic case, a divorce or custody dispute, posting negative things about the other party is, for one, judges hate it. Okay, if you're involved in a custody case and you're constantly bashing the other parent on social media, eventually that's going to hurt your custody case. You may lose time with your child because of that. But also, a lot of those cases are resolved by settlement, and it becomes very difficult to settle a case whenever you have one or both parties fanning the flames of animosity all the time. Okay. So those kinds of things are really important.
Yeah. One of the things that we get quite often with our news stories, which are sourced from the police agencies or the court agencies or whatever, is I'm contacting my attorney, sort of a veiled threat to take legal action against you to enjoin you from doing something that is certainly part of what you do. Mm-hmm. Someone who uses the threat of legal action against someone online, I would guess that would be taboo as well.
Well, there's nothing illegal about it, but I really think that usually those kinds of threats are made in an emotional situation. You're saying those things out of anger, and usually there are other things along with it. And I would just, if you can, I would pull back and just say, okay, rather than make these threats and accusations and allegations online, I'm going to go and I'm going to meet with an attorney. I'm going to have a consultation and determine really what are my legal rights here, and have the attorney address that situation, because nothing good comes of just fighting online.
Okay, good point. Now, you gave us a couple of examples from a civil law point of view. There have been cases in which somebody was able to pinpoint the location of someone against whom they meant harm simply by pulling up a list of contacts, and they can, boom, I know exactly where that person is, and boom, I can then go there and confront this person. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that record, should someone get access to it, that record would become part of a criminal case.
the record in respect to that person's phone activity and
Yes.
that they were searching for. That they were looking, absolutely, that would be relevant information. If the case warranted getting a forensic examiner, a digital forensic examiner to review those phone records. Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I tell clients about the internet is nothing ever really disappears.
Good point.
And especially, you can delete things and they're still out there in the internet somewhere that somebody can find. But also with social media, anything that's interesting, somebody just takes a screenshot or saves the picture and posts it again, and it's there forever. You lose complete control over that content that you were putting out there, and you can really put yourself in harm's way in a lot of different respects.
In fact, what you post on Facebook in terms of images, Facebook owns that image. They could use it for whatever purpose they desire.
They could.
Yeah.
They could, and I'm sure there are some restrictions on that, but I think that you really have to dig into Facebook's privacy policy, and
if you did, you'd be shocked.
These social media giants don't have the best track record on privacy. So when in doubt, just don't click. don't put it out there.
And when you have found yourself in a bit of legal trouble because of that, well, then you do need to have that good attorney. And I'm sure that folks would want to know, in your case, since you obviously have studied this, and you have to keep studying it because the technology keeps changing, the capabilities keep changing. So you have to stay on top of this stuff. That's your job.
That's right. To be able to adequately advise my clients, I have to maintain an up-to-date knowledge of these types of technologies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That being the case, this guy knows all about it, boys and girls. If somebody wants to get in contact with you, what do they need to do?
Give me a call at 724-465-5826. Stop by our office in the Atrium Building, downtown Indiana, or find me online at westernpalawyer.com.
All right. Can they use social media to get in touch with you, too?
Well, we do have a social media page, yes. So we can Facebook, Twitter, yeah.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Marshall Chriswell. It's Marshall Law, and it is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank here on WCCS, AM 1160 and FM 101.1.